Okay, welcome to web development. This is chapter 1. I'm using the HTML book. I have a few tabs open just so that I can navigate with you so that you know how to get started with the book. You're going to want to make sure that when you log on to Blackboard that you have your menu available on the left, and you're going to want to go to coursework. Also, if you go to Getting Started, it will show you which book you're going to need. And it's the Web Design of HTML5 and CSS3 Comprehensive 8th edition. And we even have the ISBN number on there, and it gives you a picture. You don't have to get it from the bookstore. You can even get it from Amazon, or you can even buy it from one of your peers. But this is the book we're referring to. When you go to coursework, you are going to be in OCPA. And you're going to be starting with the first 4 chapters. So when we go into the HTML, I went ahead and put some of the standards that we have to meet when we're doing our assignments and why we are teaching HTML5 and CSS and web development. The software you'll need. So we're using Sublime right now. It is a free text editor. The book will refer to Notepad, but please use Sublime. It's a lot easier. Some other books that we recommend, and we found free copies of them, PDFs. So go ahead and just save those to your thumb drive. Do not put them on the server. Quick disclosure, a warning sort of. You are going to be working on an ongoing project called the fitness website. And I'm going to be walking you through how to create the fitness website. So I guide you through the chapter. I don't do the actual assignments like the apply your knowledge, the extend, the lab 1s. All those are done on your own, but I do guide you through the chapter. And the fitness website doesn't start until chapter 2. So today we're just going to be covering chapter 1, Introduction to the Internet and Web Design. These are our objectives. So we are going to learn about how to plan a website for a target audience, the difference between a wireframe sitemap. HTML stands for hypertext markup language. And then you're actually going to create and view a basic HTML web page. You'll see that there's data files sometimes that go along with the chapter. So you're going to want to download that to your flash drive, your thumb drive that we give you. Okay. So if we look at the book, I think it starts on chapter 1. I believe that starts on page 2. My suggestion is to go ahead and read later and code now. There's a lot of important things you want to read when you're going through the chapter. However, I even went ahead and I think uploaded a PowerPoint. If you go to Slack, and if you go to the, I want to say fitness website channel, it could be under the HTML. Let me make sure. I go ahead and put all the videos, I put all the PowerPoints, the critical thinking questions on here. So that kind of gives you a summary of the chapter itself. I don't think I put chapter 1, so I'll have to do that. But at least you'll see what the book is referring to if you don't want to read the whole chapter. I always say go straight to the coding, and then you can read later. Like maybe when you can't fall asleep and you need a good read. Definitely check out chapter 1, the first 30 pages, I believe. You are going to want to get familiar with URL, Uniform Resource Locator. That is mentioned a lot. When you're planning a website, you want to make sure you remember the purpose of the website, the target audience, and then of course we learned how to do responsive design. So that's making it fit different viewports like a tablet, a desktop, and a mobile phone. Okay, you're going to want to definitely touch up on your graphics, navigation, color, typography. So the book does a pretty good job explaining each part of those. And I'm going to go straight into the coding. So also, pretty fun fact, HTML5, its debut was in 2008. And it is the most recent version of HTML. It introduced semantic elements, which are your header, nav, main, footer. So you'll be hearing about that a lot, but it is important to note that. Again, the text editor we're using is Sublime. And if we go straight to page 31, let's go ahead and code. And then I'll show you what your apply your knowledge should look like as well. Oh, another fun fact, the book refers to a LMS, which is a learning management system, and Blackboard is an LMS. So something for you to know. Okay, so we're going to be using Sublime. Now, when you open up Sublime, you're going to want to make sure that if you don't know what you want to save it as, if you're not sure what you're going to save this as just yet, I think it does tell you what to save it as on page 31. It tells you, I think at the end, what to save it as. But if you don't know yet, yeah, I think it's index.html. If you don't know yet, a quick way to get started is just by going down here and clicking on where it says plain text and letting it know that you're going to be doing HTML. The reason why we use Sublime is because there's a bunch of cool shortcuts. For example, you can put HTML tab and it will go ahead and actually give you what we call a boilerplate, so you don't have to type all of this out manually. It's great practice for you to type this out manually. You want to make sure you know that title would be what appears on the browser tab, on a web page tab, not what appears on the body. So if we're following the book, let me show you what I mean by that. My first web page. So when we save this, let's go ahead and save it as index.html because that's what the book is going to have us do. Make sure you're saving this on your thumb drive. That way you don't lose it. Okay, and when I save it, I can just right click and open in browser. And you'll see that my first web page isn't anywhere on the body. So nothing on here. Where is it? It's over here. So it's on the tab, on the browser tab or the web page tab. And then it also is important because that's going to play into your SEO, your search engine optimization, and it's going to also be what appears when you have your bookmarks. So that's what's going to help you with what appears there. So then we go back to our Sublime text editor and we just have a few more things to put in here. So let's see what it makes us put. Oh, it does tell us to put a meta charset. So let's go ahead and do that because that's not what came up when we use the shortcuts. And again, the book explains each one of these different parts and tags. Okay, so far looks good. We're on to page 32 to add a title and text to a web page. So we did that, and then the body. So you're going to go inside the body on line 8. It doesn't matter, by the way, if the line numbers don't match up. That's okay. And then we're going to indent because that makes it easier to read. So welcome to my first web page. Now that should appear because that's inside the body tags. That should appear on there. So you'll see the difference between title and then what goes in the body. Okay, let's see what else it makes this do. So I'm on page 32. Page 33 says to save it. It says to save it as index, which I already did. And that is it. Yep, it just tells you, okay. Usually I will say that you want to maybe put this as an H1, like a heading 1. You want to put it inside some sort of tags or a paragraph. That's usually the right proper way of doing it. You can see how it changes when you make it an H1. It makes it bold, a little bit bigger. So that's the difference between a heading and a title. A lot of people get that confused. So pretty basic. Chapter 1, just start coding. When you get to page 36, so when you go into your Blackboard, you'll see that your first assignment in chapter 1 is to do the apply. So again, you want to make sure you're following along with the chapter, but what you are getting graded on is these assignments, the ones that are on here. So chapter 1, apply. I put the note already on there that says that we will be using Sublime, not Text Wrangler or Notepad++. If you have a different text editor you want to use, that is a-okay. I just believe Sublime is easier to use. It's got a bunch of shortcuts and makes it just easier for you. You can take notes on questions asked because there will be questions that the apply your knowledge, for example, on page 37. It'll say, what color does Notepad++ display HTML tags? Don't worry about that. What I'm grading you on is how your web page looks like, not what your questions look like. So for Chapter 1 apply, you need to make sure that it matches page 39, figure 1-50. So your web page should look like this. So this is a student's example. This is Jonathan's apply your knowledge for Chapter 1. And that looks like figure 1-50. And then when I view his page source, I can make sure that he coded everything correctly. And that's what you will be graded on. Okay. And that's it for Chapter 1. Make sure to look at the other videos, subscribe, and make sure your organization is also going well. So I'll go ahead and go over that on another video. But just to give you a quick look, when I talk about organization, so you should have like a HTML folder for your HTML work. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4. No, all lowercases, no spaces. Inside each chapter, you should have subdirectories. Like Jonathan has apply, extend, lab 1, lab 2. So in the apply is the welcome to my first web page. So that's what I mean by keeping it organized. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope this helps.